Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Christmas in Disneyland.
Christmas in Disneyland. Welcome to our wonderland. Music and joy throughout the land to bring you Christmas cheer. Magic and fantasy gather around our Christmas tree. Welcome to our family this Christmas time of year. Christmas is here. Mickey, Minnie, carolers in bright array, bringing season's greetings for a Yuletide holiday. Oh, Christmas in Disneyland. Welcome to our wonderland. Let us take you by the hand. It's Christmas in Disneyland.
Good afternoon, Grand Circle Tour passengers, and a very happy holidays to all of you. I'm Dan Hansen, and I will be your conductor today as we take you on another Grand Circle Tour around all things Disney. I am joined by my fabulous co-host today, the only person who may love Christmas more than me. Yes, that's right, it's Mindy. Mindy, what's up with you?
Hello, hello. I don't know if it's morning or afternoon, but I am here and awake.
We are passengers. We usually record this at night, but today Mindy and I decided to get up extra early. Mindy, what time is it in Arizona right now? 7:30 a.m.?
7:30 a.m. I had to set my alarm to get up for this. So we love you, passengers. I'm happy to do it because we have so much to do today for Christmas and preparing, and excited to record a show.
Great. You have a waltz up, Wendy? Mindy?
I do. So my waltz up is pretty fun. I'm going to keep it short because I know I like to talk, and most passengers know that. But I went to Disneyland for Christmas, and this was a very short spur-of-the-moment trip that we took. We were in the car listening to the Disneyland Believe Holiday Magic Fireworks song, because that's weird. Like, our family does that. Who does that? Only Disney fans, right? And my kids from the back seat, we want to go to Disneyland for Christmas. Well, 24 hours later, we're in the car and watching the fireworks from Main Street. So it was fun. I cried. I laughed. We had a blast. It was actually not busy. It was unbelievable. So we had a good time.
Awesome. And what'd you stay? You just stayed overnight?
We just stayed one night. Yep, one night. It was open till midnight, 8 a.m. till midnight. And we got there. We leave here from Arizona at about 4 a.m. and we drove and we got there. We were walking in the gates by 10. So
great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long, but it was fun.
Well, my waltz up is not as great as going to one of the parks, unfortunately. I can't do that last second trip. I wish I could.
Yeah.
But I figured I was sitting there wrapping some presents, and I'm thinking about the story of our wrapping paper. Now, Mindy, I don't know how you wrap your presents, but in our family, we each have separate wrapping paper, and that's how we know whose present is whose. So one of our new traditions, as my oldest son Connor was born, is we go out and we search all year long for the greatest Mickey Mouse wrapping paper that we can find. And I was very happy with this year's wrapping paper. And now that we have Liam in the family, we have to go out and buy a second set of wrapping paper. And it's a great little tradition that we now have as we find our favorite Mickey Mouse wrapping paper.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you win. That is unbelievable. So do you mind if I share a story? You were just talking about wrapping paper, and this is Christmas.
Sure.
And it's short. It's an inspirational, like, motivation Christmas story, but you're talking about wrapping paper. So I pulled this up, and I have to share it now. So let me, just to give everybody that heartfelt Christmas, it's going to take me 2 minutes, but it goes like this. It's called the gold wrapping paper. Have you heard this?
No.
Okay. There was a man who worked very hard just to keep food on the table for his family. This particular year, a few days before Christmas, he punished his little 5-year-old daughter I might cry. After learning that she had used up the family's one roll of expensive gold wrapping paper. As money was tight, he got even more upset when on Christmas Eve, he saw the little child had used all the expensive gold paper to decorate one shoebox she had put under the Christmas tree. He also was concerned about where she got the money to buy the said shoebox. Nevertheless, the next morning, the little girl, filled with excitement, brought the dad the gift. "This is for you, Daddy," she said. He opened the box, and the father was embarrassed by his earlier reaction, now regretting how he had punished her. But when he opened the shoebox, he found that it was empty, and his anger flared again. "Do you know, young lady," he said harshly, "when you give someone a gift, there's supposed to be something inside." The little girl looked up at her dad, sad with tears rolling down her face, and whispered, "Daddy, it's not empty. I blew kisses into it, and it was full." The father was crushed. He fell to his knees and put his arms around his precious little girl. He begged her to forgive him with unnecessary anger. An accident took the life of the child only a short time later. It was told that the father kept this little box by his bed for all those years. Whenever he was discouraged or faced with difficult problems, he would open the box, take out his imaginary kiss, and remember the love of this beautiful child who put it there. In a very real sense, each of us have been given an invisible box filled with unconditional love and kisses from our children, friends, and family and up above. There is no more precious possessions anyone could hold. And that is the story of the gold wrapping paper. So, Merry Christmas, guys. I want to share that because you were talking about amazing wrapping paper, and it is Christmas. So
Beautiful, Mindy. Can't think of a better story to start our Christmas show with. So today's show is going to be a little different. Mindy and I are here just to kind of drive the boat a little bit. But what we're going to do is, let's start with this. About a year ago, 8 strangers got together, the 8 of us. We didn't know each other before this. But we had a few things in common. One, obviously, our love of Disney, right, which is the reason that we're all here. But also is our love of podcasts and vloggers and things like that. We all listen to different podcasts and watch different YouTube channels. And throughout the year that we've been recording together, our first year, we've kind of talked about some of our favorites. We all know the big ones. We know the Tim Trackers. We know the Lou Mangellos. There's a lot of like smaller ones that we all kind of listen to and kind of talk to each other about. And now it's great that we can have all these other podcasters that we can now listen to. So what we thought we'd do for our Christmas show is kind of like a Christmas gift from us to our favorites, podcasters and vloggers, is we'd get some of them on our show, kind of talk to them, hear about what their shows are about, tell our passengers about what their shows are about. Maybe our passengers out there would be interested in listening to some of these shows. And we thought it'd be a good way to end the year. So we had our staff go out on the streets and conduct a few short little interviews. We're going to cut them up into the show and kind of just go one by one and kind of go through them and talk about them a little bit. How's that sound, Mindy?
sounds awesome. I love our podcast crew, and it is a Merry Christmas show. So I am excited to do this with you.
Awesome. So I think we're going to start with George. George went out and interviewed, we know, Disney fans know him as Orange Grove 55. His real name's Chris. He has a YouTube channel where he discusses all things that Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars. I believe he's from California, and he's a big Disneyland guy. And George sat down, he spoke to him about what's going on in the Disneyland Resort, mainly about Marvel Land and Galaxy's Edge and all things like that. So we're going to let George take it away with his interview with Orange Grove 55.
Thanks, Dan and Mindy, for the introduction. Well, welcome back, passengers, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I have a very special guest joining me today. This is Christopher. Now, many of you would probably know him as Orange Grove 55. Hey, Christopher, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. As I was talking with Christopher a few minutes ago, that we wanted to think of some influential people, in the Disney community, and he was the first person that popped into my head to do this interview. So I'm so happy and glad he decided to join me today. So I have to ask you, I pretty much know what it stands for, but I guess maybe for the passengers, in case they don't know, how did you come up with the name Orange Grove 55?
Well, Orange Grove 55, I'm from Southern California. I grew up around Disneyland, been going to the park since I was a kid. So I'm a lifelong Disneyland fan. And I wanted to dedicate my channel to this park. And what better way to do that than to name it after the orange grove that it was built on. And 55 is the year that it opened.
Nice. And passengers, if you don't know, that Christopher has a YouTube channel by that name of Orange Grove 55, where he posts all his videos about Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and particularly with the parks, he more so gets real in depth with Disneyland, since as he has continuously mentioned throughout his videos that park is near and dear to him. And so now, I guess a lot of people get this question in the Disney community: how did you get bit by the Disney bug?
It's kind of funny. My parents, as a young kid, took us to Disneyland all the time, and we would go every year for all the holidays. I'd go every year for my birthday. And I guess just growing up around it and being so involved with going all the time, it became a part of me, and it carried with me into my adulthood. And I still go to Disneyland every year for my birthday, and I'm in my 30s. So
hey, nothing to be ashamed about that.
Yeah.
I actually envy you in a way that you could just you have like Disneyland right in your backyard. Love it. So, with your love of Disney and everything and how it connected with you and how you still go, as you said, to this day, what was the origin, so to speak, that combined your love of Disney with creating your own YouTube channel?
Well, a few years ago, about 2.5-3 years ago, I wanted to make I knew I wanted to make a YouTube channel dedicated to Disney because I have such a passion for it. And I looked at the YouTube landscape, for the Disney YouTube landscape, and I noticed a lot of the YouTubers out there would do the in-park vlogging and food and drink reviews and on-ride videos and that kind of stuff. And I enjoy all that stuff, but I didn't want to go down that same path. I wanted to do something different. And I've always enjoyed, talking about Disney rumors and speculations and what if and all that good stuff, all that Disney nerd stuff that we all love, And so I thought, I'm going to dedicate the channel to talking about, all these great things, the news, the rumors, the speculations, and just kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of all that. So that's what kind of inspired me. I just wanted to kind of share my ideas and my thoughts about this company and these parks, with the community. And I met some great people along the way. I met you through my YouTube channel, and yes. I really met some great people and formed some great friendships through the channel. So it's been fun.
That's great. And that's actually what drew me to your channel, was a lot of YouTubers that do, Disney videos and everything, they're on location, or, they're doing a dining review, like where they're actually there. I love how your videos are so intimate, but yet contemporary to the fact of it's simple in a good way, but there's so much information and you take so much out of each video that, for me, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, I love going back and even watching your videos multiple times,
Wow.
Just to get that sense of realism that you bring to your videos that involve within the Disney parks.
Wow. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And it's, it's something that I've always enjoyed doing. I've always enjoyed talking about the parks with friends and family. And I thought, what a great way to do that, through YouTube and sharing it with the world and meeting all these great people and being able to talk about it and bounce ideas and stuff off of everybody. I just thought it was a fun, you know, a way to approach a Disney YouTube channel.
And that's, I think, the beauty part with, I mean, a lot of people can take media as being negative and everything, but you know, if you look at a positive point of view with, you know, media, with Twitter, with Facebook, with YouTube, it allows you to connect with a lot of different people. And it's amazing how you could find so much in common with a person that you thought you would never have, you know, any kind of common ground with, you know, but actually meeting these people through the media, it's like, wow, there's more people out there that's just like me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's amazing how many like-minded people are out there that are just as enamored with these parks as we are. And it's kind of cool.
Definitely.
It really is.
So now going on to what you incorporate into your videos, I do know that, obviously, because you answer some of my questions that I asked on Twitter, you do take a lot of questions from the different media platforms and you incorporate that into your videos. But aside from choosing your own topic, do you go more by what's relevant during the time of that you're making the video, or just something that you're into in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, some topics are kind of unavoidable. There are certain things that are so big that you kind of have to discuss them. And so that does play a role into what I decide. You know, if there's an announcement, let's say for, you know, hypothetical, let's say they announce some details for a new ride for Marvel Land. That's such huge news that you can't really not make a video about it. So that's something that I you know, would play a role in my decision-making process as to what videos. But a lot of times also it just comes down to, I think about like, what kind of subjects, if I were the viewer, what kind of subjects would I want to hear? You know, what kind of stuff would I want to discuss? And I kind of go from that vantage point and just kind of, you know, think about what would be interesting to talk about.
Nice. So kind of like now picking off like what, you know, kind of videos you make, you do a lot of videos that incorporate either Star Wars or Marvel, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And especially because I look out for any new news with Marvel. Because for the longest time, you know, usually Disney is very on top of announcing what they're doing before they even close a piece of land or expand a part of a land. But Marvel, I would think, is the first one that they actually closed everything down and say, okay, well, this is what the land's going to be, without actually giving us the full detail of what's going on up until, what was it, like about a month ago that they announced for Spider-Man, or what the land was actually going to look like?
Yeah. We waited a long time for any details on Marvel Land. And I really thought when they said that Bugs Land was going to close, I think it was like September 4th or something like that. I really thought that we were going to get some of the concept art around that time, because, okay, well, they're going to put a big construction wall and they're going to want to plaster the construction wall with some kind of art. So I thought, okay, for surely when they close Bugs Land, we'll get something. And we never did. We never got anything. And it wasn't, like you said, up until a few weeks ago that we got the Spider-Man art. So it's been interesting. They've definitely had a different approach with Marvel Land than they have with other stuff in the past. And that might be because maybe there was so much, like, you know, everything was so much in motion, maybe because of that Eastern Gateway project, that maybe they really weren't sure up until the 11th hour what they were going to do. And, you know, that could be a possibility too. But yeah, it's been interesting. They've been really quiet on Marvel Land.
Yes, definitely. And when they did bring out the several pieces of concept art, especially with the show building for the new Spider-Man attraction, I said to myself, thank goodness, because now with the design look for Spider-Man, Mission Breakout won't stick out like a sore thumb. It like meshes so well into the architecture of how everything is represented. And then what blew me away was, I think within the last week, when they announced that all the Marvel lands throughout all the Disney parks was going to somehow be connected, just like the films. That just blew me away.
That blew me away too. And I think that's brilliant. That's a genius way to approach these Marvel lands, because you have the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which obviously all those movies and even the TV shows are all connected. So for the Imagineers to take that concept of that interconnectivity and put that into the parks, I thought that was brilliant. And the whole idea that, that Stark Expo in Hong Kong, I think that was the first attraction they built for Marvel. Hydra took over, or there were some issues with Hydra over there. So the Avengers needed to build some training facilities across the world, hence Anaheim and Paris. And it's just such a cool concept, It's such a great concept that you feel like you're part of it. The Avengers are building this facility out here, and we're like literally part of this universe. I think it's just a brilliant concept. I really love it.
And it definitely takes it like one step further into immersive storytelling, like coming from the Imagineers. I mean, that was just, I mean, looking at it now, it's like, okay, that is perfect for the Marvel background. But then you sit back and think, why couldn't I have thought of that? It's like...
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's sometimes the most brilliant ideas are the most simple. And this is one of them. This is one of those kind of like this no-brainer, real simple concept that, like I wouldn't have thought of it either. But then when they announced it, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It really does.
Yes. And also, now to bring up the huge Gimondo elephant in the room.
Okay.
The elephant that's part of the galaxy far, far away. Galaxy's Edge. Now, Marvel Land will be opening in 2020, sometime in 2020.
Okay.
Which is 1 year after Galaxy's Edge opens. Now, at Disney, well, at both Disneyland and Disney World, but Disneyland's Galaxy's Edge is opening first. Do you feel, because a lot of people have different opinions on Galaxy's Edge, particularly in Disneyland, do you feel of how big and how hyped Star Wars is, that they even have their own fan base, do you feel that it was appropriate for Disney to add Galaxy's Edge into Disneyland and not just Disney World?
So you're saying in terms of like the crowding and the infrastructure?
Like the control, as far as like the massive people that will be attending.
Yeah, I think it is appropriate. I think that for me, I feel like that, if Disney's going to be scared off into doing things for Disneyland because they're worried about the crowding, then it really limits the creativity for the park. And we had pretty bad crowding for Indiana Jones Adventure when it opened. I think it was like 1995. The wait times were like 8 hours long. And, those wait times eventually wane over time. And you're left with this amazing attraction. So is it going to be painful when Star Wars Galaxy Edge opens? Yeah, it will be. It will be crowded probably for 6 months to a year of just insane crowds. But when those crowds inevitably wane and they thin out and everything normalizes, we're left with this incredibly detailed, immersive land for this park. And I think that's great. It's worth the short-term pain, in my opinion, to have that long-term gain. Definitely.
Speak it, brother. That's coming from the book of Orange Grove 55.
Yes.
Yeah, so because I know a lot of people have. I personally, as far as like with Galaxy's Edge goes, I love to the fact that both coasts can get a feel of this immersive land because of what they're describing. This is Disney's biggest ambitious project ever as far as a land goes. And I'm looking forward to both attractions, but I'm more so also just looking forward to just walking through the land itself.
Oh,
And
yeah, me
seeing
too.
the little
Absolutely.
details.
Yeah, just taking it all in. I mean, just walking through that land and hearing the music and the sights and the sounds and the food and just kind of just experiencing it is honestly that would be enough for me just to do that for the first few visits, you know?
I will reach my peak in life once I get my hands on some blue milk.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely for that.
Well, one thing I also wanted to touch upon with Galaxy's Edge was a lot of people don't like the idea of a one franchise land at Disneyland. And I actually agree with that. But with Star Wars, I feel like it's different. I feel like Star Wars, like I wouldn't want to have Toy Story Land at Disneyland Park. But with Star Wars, it's different because Star Wars is such a diverse franchise. It's a fairy tale. It's political. It's about princesses and cowboys, and there's so many different things going on in Star Wars. It sort of represents everything Disneyland is about, you know, with New Frontiers and like I said, the fairy tales and the cowboys and it really does embody the park. And I think Star Wars is one of the few franchises that can get away with its own land at Disneyland. There's not many franchises, if any, that I think could do that. Star Wars is a unique brand, and I think it's a perfect addition to Disneyland. I really do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Star Wars would definitely just have to stand alone because of how everyone can relate to the films and the lands and the looks and the smells and the sounds, that I don't think it would fit right mixing or blending it with anything else. I mean, quoting George Lucas himself, the creator, you know, it was like one big soap opera in space.
Yes.
So, you know, including having no undergarments in space as well, if I may add that. So, quoting our very own Princess Leia. I do miss her.
I do too.
Well, I want to thank you very much for joining me. It was awesome that we got to talk a little bit, and I am going to add on, passengers, that Christopher will be joining the Grand Circle Tour podcast again coming in the near future. So please definitely look out for that. And if you want to tell our passengers how they could find you and where they can see your videos.
Okay. Well, so my name is Orange Grove 55. You can find me on YouTube, Orange Grove 55. You can also find me on Twitter at Orange Grove 55. I'm always on Twitter talking Disney. That's where I pull my questions for my Q&A videos from Twitter. So, I would appreciate you checking out my channel. And I want to thank you so much for having me on today. It was my pleasure. It was an honor. Thank you.
Yes. And again, it was starstruck for me to have you because as I followed you from the very beginning. So to even talk with you one-on-one, it was an absolute joy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you for joining, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you as well.
Okay, we're back here in the GC2 studios, and Mindy and I have just poured ourselves a nice cup of hot chocolate, sitting here reminiscing about our favorite Christmas traditions. Mindy, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh, geez. We've watched it like 40 times already this Christmas season, but it's definitely by far hands down National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Christmas is not the same without Clark Griswold saying he would rather staple his head to the floor. So, yeah, it's my all-time favorite. I can quote the entire thing, and it's the best.
So we spoke a little earlier about me wrapping my presents in the wrapping paper, but that is my ultimate wrapping movie. I always have to put that movie on while I wrap presents.
It's true. I put it on while I clean. I put it on while we decorate. It's always our family's go-to Christmas movie, and we watch it all the time.
One of the funniest movies out there has to be, right?
Yeah. One of
Um,
these years, we keep talking about it. One of these years, we want to do a Christmas vacation party, like have all the funny things, like burn the cat into the floor and put eggnog and Cheerios in the Jello to make it look like cat food.
I have the eggnog glasses.
Yeah,
Moose. I have those.
do.
Yeah.
That's great.
We whip them out every Christmas Eve.
That is funny.
That's one of my favorites. It's a Wonderful Life always has to be watched on Christmas Eve. I always watch that. Usually at like 1 a.m. on Christmas Eve. And
Yeah.
I'm a big Elf fan too. Love Elf.
Elf. Yep. And Christmas Story. That one, I'm like a funny one, but
Yeah. I think so too.
The Polar Express. There's a handful that you just have to watch.
If you ask my son, he will say Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas and Twice Upon a Christmas.
Oh, nice.
We've watched those probably about 30 times so far in December. So.
I have not watched that yet. That's a good.
Oh, you haven't seen those?
I need to put it on this morning.
Very good shorts.
Very nice.
Mindy, you want to introduce our next one?
Yes, and talking about magic and Christmas, our next interview comes with our amazing Stan, and he interviewed Peter Tedone from the Disney Magic Hour, and they talked about what his podcast is all about. It's an amazing little segment. Stay tuned and enjoy Stan.
Welcome back. We have the big man himself. No, kids, it is not Santa Claus. It's the one and only Peter Tedone from the Disney Magic Hour. Say hello, Pete.
Hello, Pete. I'm the Santa Claus of film. I bring ye packages of cinematic pleasure. That's what I give.
Well, welcome aboard, Pete. And do you prefer Pete or Peter?
I don't know. What do you usually call me?
I usually call you Peter.
Why are you acting like this is the first time we've spoken to each other?
Peter and I go back a while. I always call him Peter, but for some reason on the podcast, you're Pete. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I guess. It doesn't. I don't know. I never noticed it. I never really noticed it. Thank you so much for having me on. It's nice to be here. Thanks, man.
Oh, it's great to have you. No, you're not by yourself on a Disney Magic Hour. For our passengers who don't know, who all's in your crew?
Yeah, we have a crew of 4. It's me, Melissa, my wife, and Ryan Wilson of the Main Street Gazette, and Courtney Van Rens, who, quite frankly, she was just somebody that we knew through our group on Facebook, and I thought she was super sharp and witty and this and that, and the way that the show was going, I wanted somebody with music knowledge, and she has tons of it. So, we became friends, and then I just asked her if she wanted to start doing the show with us on a regular basis. And that's how it happened. Same with Ryan. I mean, Ryan Wilson, originally me and Ryan, we knew each other through other channels. And then I invited him onto my show for one episode. And at the close of the episode, I was like, dude, do you want to do this for the rest of the time till you want to? And he said, yeah. And that's really how we have the crew that we have now. It didn't start that way. Brian and Scott were originally members of the show when we first launched. And Brian is still here every now and then. Mm-hmm. He raises a kid. Very, very tough for him to make the schedule that we have, which is a little wacky. But yeah, we've been doing it now for about 2.5 years.
Oh, nice. That was my next question. How long have you been doing this for now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been podcasting for 3.5 years, and the Disney Magic Hour didn't come into the fold until a little later. The initial launch was a much different show called The Film Basement.
Yeah, that was different than the Disney Magic Hour for sure.
Yeah, that was a different show. You know what, though? I like – so obviously for those who don't know, which is probably all of you, the Film Basement was just me and a group of my friends sitting at a table literally in a basement.
Whacking each other.
Yeah, just killing each other. We would talk about movies, but it was completely uncensored. You were able to say whatever you wanted to. We had no language barriers. And when we started Disney Magic Hour, we set language barriers. Like, we got to have things like that. And quite frankly, I felt like it was very fake. So over the last year or so, we've changed our position on that. And, if someone says something that might be a little off color, language-wise, it's fine. It's not a show for everyone then, but that's fine. It's a show for the people who care about film, who are interested in looking into the background of the the where these Disney films came from, who directed them, who wrote them, where did they start from, what was the story before the story that we saw, what's all those details, because that's really the fun part, for me is kind of digging into the background of those films and seeing where they came from. Like who wrote down the idea for the black hole? Like what maniac was writing this down and said, we've got something here. Like that.
Herbie.
Yeah, like Herbie is another one. That's fascinating to me. So I always like to do that stuff. And luckily I have 3 companions who love going into that as much as I do. And it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed doing the show.
Yeah, you guys play off each other very, very well, I find. And one of the things that you do you do a lot of movie reviews, but that's not all you do. Yeah, you do other things as well.
Yeah, we'll cover the park stuff. We're locals. Me and Melissa we're only 20 minutes from the parks. So we will definitely cover park stuff when we feel that it's very interesting. I'm not going to talk about like this new cookie came out. Like that doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But major things that are happening at the parks, I think those are still really fun. We'll keep that at the front of the show though. That'll all be at the top of the show, basically like a little Disney news package. But we'll also go into, any film announcements, even if it's like minor casting, we would like to kind of discuss that stuff. And then, the show is mainly comprised that we started from Snow White and we've been working our way up ever since. And we basically review all those films. And what we do is we'll go through the scene by scene almost of the movie on some occasions.
Yeah.
But we'll also talk about the pre-production, who was the director, who wrote it, who did the music, who was part of the cast, what else has that cast been in. Then we'll talk about the film itself. And then we ask a couple of questions about every film. Number one, what is the moral and does it achieve it? Every film wants to normally have a moral, but not all of them achieve it. So that's the first question that we throw at it. Second question is, what is the iconic shot?
That's my favorite question.
That's always an interesting one, because then the thing is, when you get to the smaller films, the B films, if you want to call them that, there isn't that big poster that everyone knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's when you're watching that movie that it really gets a varied opinion, like a lot, because everyone has a different take. Everything
that's
sometimes gets us different.
And what you guys do is you announce beforehand what movie you're going to be doing next. And I'll run out and I'll buy that movie or I'll rent it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. A lot of people do it. Then I watch that movie. And while I'm watching this movie, I'm paying attention to the iconic shot. I'm paying attention to whether there's a moral ending or sorry, what was it again?
Well, we used to say, is it an emotional or a moral?
Yes.
Like, what is it trying to get across? And does it achieve it?
Yes. And then the third question you ask is,
does it hold up?
Does it hold up? Exactly.
Which right now, we're in a real weird age right now. We are in the late 70s. We just entered the early 80s of Disney. And there is some offerings, man. There's some movies, which actually it has caused a little bit of an issue because some of them are not readily available anymore.
Yeah.
We have hit the gray area where I am going into the depths of the internet to find a decently clean version of The Watcher in the Woods. And then learning that The Watcher in the Woods had a lobster creature originally in the ending. And, that's the thing. Like, you learn about the previous cuts, and as crazy as the thing that's put in front of you, where it came from is 10 times more nuts. That seems to be the pattern is, we watch this, and at the end of the movie, people go to hell? And some people go to heaven.
I gotta watch this movie. I gotta.
Yeah, black hole. That's a black hole thing. Woof.
Yeah. Well, I haven't black hole. When you guys did the black hole, I'm like, hey, you know what? I saw it as a kid in the theater, and I saw it on VHS when I used to rent VHS movies, and I didn't have it on Blu-ray. Well, I don't think it's even available on Blu-ray, or is it?
It might be. It might be. They've thrown most of those up there, but it's like a horrific transfer, and it doesn't look any good.
Yeah, but I ran out and bought it on DVD because I knew I'll probably only going to watch it once. I'm probably not going to be putting it in several times. The DVD was fine. And that's a different movie than I remember as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone is in their later years ever watched Event Horizon, there's actually a ton of comparisons that you can make to the horror film Event Horizon with Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Which is not something that you would think would be a thing, but there you are. You know, there it is in front of you.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. You know, I never even knew No Mobile was a movie before the show, but No Mobile was a movie that they made post Poppins with the Banks' kids, and Ed Wynn is dressed like a pimp, and it's really weird. So you know that's been the fun of the show, is discovering these other overlooked films, and they're probably overlooked for a reason, but really
Gems, if you want to
like
call
the how and the why of them. But then also looking at the classics, you know, going back and looking at the classics and what works now, what doesn't work. You know, what earns that title for, you know, immortality and what doesn't. So that's been our thing. So we do that. It's bi-weekly. And what are we up to? 155 something episodes now? Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's definitely been a thing. It's been a thing that's had an impact on our, you know, on who we are and stuff. It's kind of fun.
Well, I got to tell you, I really enjoy listening to your show, and I listen to a handful of podcasts, and there's some that if I miss it that week or whatever, okay, fine, I'll just delete it. But yours are ones I always make sure I save them, and I try to get to them as soon as they come out. And I'm sure a lot of our passengers would enjoy them as well. Now, let's back up a little bit. What got you into podcasting?
Depression.
Okay.
That's the real answer. It's depression. I went to film school, and I took out a very predatory loan, as it turns out. And when I was done with film school, even though I had done very well, at a certain point I ran out of money. So I had to stop making film for thing, and I had to take on a job that I hated. And I then got offered a job that was incredible with a friend of mine who was building his own production company. And everything was going very, very well, but then everything fell apart on his side of the thing, and he actually left the country. And that sent me into a very, very bad spiral. So I had no outlet anymore. At that time, I didn't feel like I had an outlet. So what happened was I was sitting at Denny's with my friend Kevin at like 3 a.m, as we normally did. We would be there for like 2-3 hours at a shot, and we'd just be talking about film. And I was like, you know what? We should just put a microphone in front of us. We had tried it a year before that, but it only lasted like 1 or 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know, we should really do this for real. I was like, we should just start doing a show, because I needed something. I needed to start talking about, you know, the thing that had my passion so much, even if I didn't have the financial capability to physically make the things that I wanted to do. So that's where it came from. And, you know, our first show, we had microphones, but we forgot to buy mic stands. You know, we actually made mic stands into wire hangers, and the Film Basement got very popular locally. It was a real crazy thing. You know, the first time that I went to a movie theater and someone heard my voice and shouted a catchphrase that out of context is going to seem insane. But someone shouted at me, "Kirk Cameron approved," from across a movie theater. And I was like, what? And then, you know, we wound up selling out a movie theater for a special screening that we were doing. And it was great. But in that also came this love for Disney. And originally started as a Disney park show. And, you know, talking about the parks mainly, but we didn't live there. And that always felt very just like not on contact enough for me, because other people were doing it and they were in the parks.
You were living in New York at the time, right?
Yeah, I was living in New York at the time. So I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of lame. And so then, you know, taking the movie idea, I was like, wait, we have a wealth of movies, of Disney movies that don't fit the form of Film Basement. Like, we're never going to really dive into those the way we would, because that was a up-to-date current films that are coming out. I was like, why don't we start doing this? I was like, I think that we can do this. So I was a big fan of the show, of the podcast, still am. Stardate? I can't remember it. It's a Star Trek podcast.
Okay.
And they examine literally every episode. And then they asked their own series of questions at the end of the show. So I got in touch with the hosts. And I was like, hey, you know what? I got this idea kicking around about a Disney show. And but I wanted to use the idea of these 3 questions, but make them different ones, except for the last one that doesn't hold up. I was like, would you guys have any problem with that? And they were like, no, that's awesome. We would love to, you know, that's flattering. Thank you. And then I even talked with them and discussed with them like those other questions. Now those questions have changed in a little bit of our wording, you know, since then. But it all kind of came from that, you know, just interest in something else and being like, what if I put my own spin on this and we're not as proper, I guess would be a way to see, you know, if it would just be ourselves. Like,
well, you got to be yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, there's a lot of personalities out there. And if your personality isn't just your personality, I don't know. It's weird to me. To me, it's weird. Unless you're, you know, an actor getting paid for it, I guess it's great. So that was the big thing, was that our show still had to be us. And I don't think it was when we launched it. I don't think Disney Magic Hour was us when we started it. It took us a little while to feel more comfortable because the Disney arena is one where, I don't know, there just seems to be rules for no reason. And I don't care particularly for those rules. So the more that we went along, the more that we found that we can just be ourselves and it's okay. And if people come along for the ride, great. And if they don't, great. There's a million other shows. Listen to one of those. But if you're going to come to ours, you're going to be part of that weird clan. We're not a family. No one's a family. Only my family's my family and my friends. But we are a clan. That's what we are.
So now if somebody does want to tune into the Disney Magic Hour, I'm assuming you don't want them to go back and listen to the earlier episodes where you weren't yourself. There's something.
Why not, though? It's good. It's good to hear failure.
It's good to hear failure?
Yeah, man. It's good to hear. It's good to hear improvement, I feel. Like we were on weird footing. Melissa had never spoken into a microphone when we started that. She was super nervous about doing it. And I think listening to that stuff and being like, oh, okay, well, how did this morph? I think that's fascinating.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah, no, I love when people see us suck because we're never going to be perfect. And to see the moments where we stumble and fall, and we still do it now, you know, we're not by any means. But I say absolutely go back and listen to some of the, you know, the earlier stuff and then see how that has become what we are now. I think I endorse that fully.
Okay. So you wanted to listen to something earlier? If they're going to download one episode, I know you probably don't know the exact number, but let's say what would the topic have been?
Okay, so I don't like putting this like, this was our best or whatever, but I will say
they want to dip their foot in the Disney Magic Hour pool.
I have been told that our review of the Gnome Mobile was one of the wackiest ones that we have ever did, because we just didn't know how to respond to most of what we saw. Like, we watched it like mouths just gaped. So that's episode 76. I actually just brought it up. Yay, okay. Google Magic Hour helping me out here. So yeah, the Gnome Mobile. That's episode 76.
Yeah, I agree completely.
You can, you know, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play Music, we're on Stitcher, and we have a website, lastgenpodcast.com, but it's easier just going through there. We're also on Blog Talk Radio. That's the folks who actually host us. And you know, it's all brought to you by MEI Travel, you know, so they've been our partner now for a couple of years. We're going into our third year coming up. And that's been, you know, awesome for us. And yeah, but no Mobile. Go with that one. And then, I don't know, a lot of people love the bracket shows.
Yeah, the bracket shows are fun too.
Yeah, people like the bracket shows. Knives Out during those bracket shows. I will not say I've been very happy with some of the results of those. Like, I have outwardly said, like, I think this is the wrong choice, but we reach it through the democratic process. We do the science, and we have to stand by what the group said. But, you know, that's why it's a group show. It's not my show.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah. Well, Pete, you know what? You're an easy person to interview because you answered my questions just before I go to ask them, where can they find you? You answered that already.
There you go.
This is great. Before we head in and bring this ship around, is there anything you wanted to add?
Watch more movies. That's it. If you ever think that, you know, if you hear that comment, there's nothing original anymore. Yeah, there are. They're out there.
Okay.
There's a ton of movies out there. So watch more movies. Go out there and find them, because You find something that speaks to you personally, and then that opens up a whole set of doors.
Nice. And what do you have plans for 2019 as we round up this year?
Well, we're gonna end this year with our top 3 personal Disney films of 2018, and then that'll tail right into our 2019 preview. So we will preview all the films that are going to be coming out in 2019 and giving a list of our most anticipated. And then just as the year goes by, every other week we will be presenting, a classic review as we move our way through the 80s now. And then when a new review comes out, we'll put out a review for those as well. Actually, later on, I don't know when you're putting this up, but actually I think you're putting this up like Christmas, right?
Christmas Eve, yeah.
Yeah, so already we have our Mary Poppins review is out there. We actually got to see it 2 weeks in advance. And yeah, that'll be the most recent one. And I guess you'll be looking forward to our next episode should be the 2018 wrap-up, where we look back. Yeah. And I will speak very heavily towards a movie that isn't by Disney, but contains a character that you're all familiar with, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So yeah, that's what we got. But 2019 will be more films, more reviews, more trying to get through these 80s, because woof. When you look ahead, you've got some stuff. Return to Oz is on the high horizon. So, I mean, what else do you want? I mean, we got to watch Return to Oz.
Yeah, exactly. And on a personal level, I'll be looking forward to seeing you in 2019 at the Star Wars Celebration coming up in April.
Yep, we got Celebration coming up. We're going to be there for a whole week. I don't know how you fill a con for that long, but there you are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Peter, Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year, and pass it on to the rest of your crew. It was great having you on, and we'll pass it off to the next segment.
All right, happy holidays, guys.
So, Dan, speaking of Christmas, I am still finishing up decorating, and we put a Christmas tree on top of our car, and it's really funny. It's just a teeny tiny little Christmas tree, and it's wrapped and roped down, so it's like a funny one. So when people drive by, they see our funny little Christmas tree stuck to the top of my car.
Is it standing upright, or is it like tied down?
No, it's like laying down, just like it's like literally a foot tall Christmas tree. It's hilarious.
That's funny. See, I would probably go the opposite way and get the way too big tree, so like you can't really see through the windows. It's hanging over.
Do the Griswold. Bong.
Yeah, the Griswold, right.
You dug it up by your hands. If you know that reference, guys, then you've seen Vegas or Christmas Vacation. So.
Yeah, we are all done with our decorating in the Hansen house. It's funny. As soon as we get done with the decorating, it feels like Christmas comes, and then it has to start to take it all down again.
So, Dan, let's be honest here. How long do you leave your Christmas decorations up after Christmas?
So, my birthday is January 5th.
Okay.
And my parents, when I was younger, they always wanted to get everything out by January 5th, because then we always had like a little birthday party for me. So they just wanted to clean the house. But I try to stress to my wife to try to keep it up to at least after my birthday. So
very nice. Ours stays up till like February, and we're like, should we take that tree down now? It's so sad. This year I'm hoping it won't be such, because we had a little incident with our tile, and it happened under our Christmas tree. So our tile started cracking, and it tented, and it just popped up like, I don't know, 15 square feet of tile. So I've got to go and replace that. But
oh man,
so hopefully my Christmas tree will be taken down soon. Then later.
All right, so our next interview is from Jason. Jason interviewed Monica Pinto from The House in Our House. It's one of Jason's favorite podcasts. He talks a little bit about his Christmas traditions with Monica, obviously her show, and of course, everyone's favorite, Star Wars. So Jason, take it away.
Thanks, Dan and Mindy. Aloha, passengers. It's Jungle Skipper Jay here. Welcome back to Adventureland. I have a very special guest in my boat tonight. I hope you all have a coffee and a little something sweet, because I have Monica Pinto from The Mouse in Our House. Monica, how are you today?
Hi, Jason. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Merry
Thank you for
Christmas.
having me. Merry Christmas.
I'm glad to have you.
Oh, it's my honor.
So how are you? How are things in the house of the mouse in the house?
They're good. Getting ready for Christmas. Always that last push to get everything done. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah.
Recording the Christmas episode to air soon on Saturday or Sunday. And then it's all baking and cooking and finish all the wrapping.
Oh, if you're baking, let me give you my address. Just don't send it via the Jungle Cruise or I'll never get it.
Well, maybe you can send me something via the Jungle Cruise so The Rock can come to my door.
Speaking of The Rock, how do you feel about this Jungle Cruise movie coming up?
I cannot wait. First of all, you've got The Rock. Second of all, you've got The Rock. And there's a great actress called Emily Blunt in it too. And
I've heard she's going places.
Yeah, she might be dropping in anytime. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. I don't know how, how true to the ride it's going to be because, everything always changes in these movies. But like I said, if I'm watching The Rock, I'm good.
We know they're going to make some changes to the ride, but please don't drastically alter the ride. It's not Pirates.
Yes. I mean, don't go too off, script, but I'm excited. I'm always excited when there's a Rock movie. I mean, what can I say?
Well, I'm going to say if there were anyone to play me in the Jungle Cruise movie, I approve The Rock playing me.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, I will buy my ticket.
Just so everyone knows, when you see the movie, The Rock is playing Jungle Skipper Jay.
All right. I will keep that in mind.
So speaking of Christmas, do you have any Christmas traditions in your house you want to share with our passengers?
Yes, we definitely have a few that keep me very busy. I have to maybe start to curtail my Disney traditions a little bit, but as my daughter is getting older, there's a few things she no longer is interested in doing. And one of them that really hurts my heart is our mouse in our house hunt. So every day, our little Mickey Mouse plush is put in a different place in our house, and she has to go find him. And it's been a good run. Now she's 12, so she's not so interested in that anymore. Unfortunately, she's going over to the Harry Potter realm. So, I don't know. But, I'm gonna keep chugging along until I can't.
No, you make her stay Disney. You don't let her to go to the dark side.
I am trying with all my might, but it's that youth rebellion state that she's in. I don't know. I keep trying. Mickey is in our house, and that's why our show is called The Mouse in Our House, and it's staying put. If not only for me and Manny, then that's what we're gonna do. One of the things that we really enjoy, I bake a lot. I mean, I know we're friends on Facebook, so you see I bake a lot and cook a lot, and I'm constantly posting photos and stuff. But she really doesn't get into the kitchen much with me. When that time comes around, I do tend to get a little crazy as the time draws near for everything to be done. But one of the things that we've made a tradition the last couple of years is her coming in and helping me bake snowball cookies. So we do that, and I enjoy it tremendously. It's time for me and her to just spend together and without interruptions and do something that then we can eat and say, wow, we did a good job, and we can, give out some to friends and family. So I enjoy that tradition. I'm hoping that one sticks for many more years to come.
That's an awesome tradition. That's something as she gets older, she's going to look back on and tell her kids about, her grandkids about.
I hope so. One of the things I love is on Christmas Eve, before we all go to bed, we all put on our Disney Christmas pajamas. So Christmas morning when we wake up, it is a little bit of Disney in our house at Christmas. We open up our gifts. We take our pictures. It's always our Disney Christmas pajamas. And it just gives us a little something in the air, you know? And then we follow that up with the other Christmas tradition that is watching the Disney Christmas Parade on TV every year. I love that. It's not Christmas morning if I'm not sitting on the sofa watching the Disney Parade.
That's speaking of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I have to watch the Thanksgiving Parade every year.
Mm-hmm. It's getting a little difficult, though, I will say. The Disney special, the holiday special that they call it now instead of the Disney Christmas Parade, it's getting a little trying. It's becoming just one big commercial.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that they're listening to us and bringing back more parade and stuff like that.
You know what I miss is the old variety type show they used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to get bizarre acts like Shields and Yarnell or Pablo Cruz to come out and do a little skit at Christmas.
Wow. You know, the last one I truly thought started as a real Christmas special was the one where Neil Patrick Harris was there.
Oh, I didn't see that one. What year was that?
That was, I want to say 3 years ago now. He started it off singing, and everybody kind of, like the different characters came on with him, and it was really good. Look it up on YouTube. They definitely have it.
I will. I don't know. I missed that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was 3 years ago. He was fantastic the way it opened up. So we like to do that. And let's see, got a couple of things. I always make my French toast casserole for Christmas morning. So when we get up in our Disney pajamas, first thing we do is put that casserole in the oven, go open up gifts, have breakfast, and then sit down and watch the parade.
I'm coming to your house for Christmas Day this year. I want that casserole. Or at least the recipe.
Come on over. I'll give it to you. I'll send it to you. We always, of course, we do Christmas Mass. We usually do that on Christmas Eve. I make a ton of traditional Portuguese appetizers. I host New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So leading up to Christmas and the holidays, I'm doing all that stuff so I can deep freeze it and then fry it for when I host our parties. So that's something that I always have to get out of the way. Same thing with tons of cookie dough. I gift out cookies for Christmas, so we're doing that. And that's pretty much it. Those are the things that I know that throughout the year, come October, November, it all starts.
Oh, yeah. Once you see that first pumpkin in the window, you know Santa Claus is right behind it.
I'm usually smacking my forehead going, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to get all this done? And it's a challenge some years, but, you know, there's certain things that I want to keep tradition for our daughter and, you know, hopefully down the line.
Yeah.
But Disney is definitely always a part of our Christmas traditions in one way or another.
We only have one real Disney Christmas tradition in my house, and that is we watch Bed Knobs and Broomsticks every Christmas Day. It's our Christmas movie.
You know, I have never watched that movie.
Get out.
No, I haven't.
No, seriously, get out of the Jungle Boat right now and swim back.
I will have to watch that. I'm going to write it down right now.
It's not as good as Mary Poppins, but it's a movie I love. It's a movie about a bunch of misfits who become a family by the end. Mm-hmm. And who doesn't love watching Angela Lansbury beat Nazis?
Angela Lansbury is a treasure.
She's in the new Mary Poppins.
Is she really?
She is.
Oh.
I saw it yesterday, and that's all I'm going to say about it because we have a Poppins show coming up.
Okay, I can't wait to listen to that. I want that review.
We're doing it Boxing Day. I think that one comes out on New Year's Eve day.
You're doing it Boxing Day?
Boxing Day, but we're not here to talk about my show. We're here to talk about your show.
Okay.
Passengers, I'm a big fan of Monica's show, The Mouse in Our House. What I love about it, I love the episodes where it's just the family sitting down and talking. How did you guys come about doing that? I mean, what brought you into podcasting?
Well, I'm passionate about Disney, and I just happened to stumble upon a couple of podcasts that I started listening to religiously. And sometimes I would find myself trying to yell at them through my earphones and try to get my opinion. Not that they were doing anything wrong, but my opinion, I wanted my opinion to count. And so I would have on my earbuds, and then I would be like, oh, but this, don't forget to mention this, and don't forget to mention that. And, you know, it's always easier to sit back and kind of add your 2 cents as opposed to actually doing it. But I was just kind of at the same time getting myself into like a little funk. You know, I wasn't happy at work. I needed a stress reliever because I had a small child. There was a lot going on, running to work every day. I needed something to just buoy me up a little bit. So I came home one night and I literally sat down next to my husband on the sofa after I had put my baby to sleep. And I just started, plugging around on Google and, some idea in the back of my head. And I came upon Blogspot. And I just said, you know what? Let me write down what I think about Disney. So I did. And I started just blogging. And I turned around to my husband. I said, I just wrote a blog. I just started a blog on Blogspot. And he looked at me like, okay. And then 2 weeks later, I said to him, I again sat down next to him. He's watching TV and I'm playing around. And I said to him, I just started a website. And he looked at me like, are you serious right now? But okay, if it's something you want to do, go right ahead. And so I happily blogged for quite a while, at least 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months. And then I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, which is Two Men and a Mouse with Kevin Kessler. And he had a commercial where he said that he would produce and edit a podcast if anybody was interested. And, I looked up, what it would entail to maintain a podcast. And it was way beyond in my realm. I'm just not that technically savvy or anything like that. And, I contacted him and, we had previously talked about maybe cross-promoting my blog and his podcast. And I asked him, what it would cost for him to do his services. And, I talked to my husband. I said, listen, I want to do this. And I might fall flat on my face, but I feel for now, I'd like to get my voice out there, just like everybody else is getting their voice out there. So he said, you know what, if you want to do it, do it. And we did. There wasn't much rehearsal. I didn't have anything planned beyond episode 1, which episode 1 was horrible. It was just me saying why I love Disney. And it was anybody that listened to episode 1 and gave me a chance with episode 2. Thank you so much. I owe you so much because episode 1 was atrocious. Episode 2, again, it was just me, but I was covering D23. So it wasn't, I guess, so bad because I was giving everybody news. And then episode 3, I think it was, Kevin came on. And it was finally a 2-person episode. And we got to feed off of each other, play off of each other. And I felt more confident. And I think, or maybe it was 3 and then 4. But maybe I'm switching them. But at some point, I asked my husband to come on with me. And my daughter decided to come on too. And, it was just a fluff show, it was all fluff. But that interaction between the 3 of us, or me just having someone else to play off of. I remember Kevin sent me an email and said, you bring on your family all the time. Because interacting with them was interesting. And it was something that I think the listeners would like to hear from you. So I brought my husband on board. My daughter came on board, but then kind of went off board. Now she just pops in from time to time. I started getting like different series going. I had one which would take you step by step through Disney World and all the parks. So I had, for the most part, different podcasters come on. And I think that helped us a lot. So my daughter really wasn't there for that because, you know, we didn't want to take too much away from the other podcasters that were coming on. And here I am. We're at episode 88 and hoping to hit 100 soon. We're only bi-weekly. We're a bi-weekly show, so it takes us a little longer to get to 100, but we're looking forward to that 100.
Well, we're going to have to celebrate that with you.
Oh, please. I actually said it in this last episode that's about to come out that we would love to have friends, prior guests, other podcasters, maybe send in a message that they've recorded that we can play for that 100th extravaganza. So hopefully we'll have some people join us.
I'm sure me and the rest of the GCT team may have to knock on the mouse in our house door.
Oh, we would love that. We would love that.
You guys just wrapped up your Traveling to Disney series, and I really enjoyed that one. I learned a few things I hadn't thought of before.
Oh, good. Good. That's, you know, when I hear somebody say that to me, that it's helped them, it really makes everything worthwhile. That particular series was a lot of work. It was a lot of research because I wanted to make sure that I was putting out as much information as I could. And, you know, I remember hearing from you at that time, and it just made my day. And I have to say thank you to you because you were really the first listener that reached out to me and said, "Hi, I'm listening. I love the show." And it just meant so much to me. I have to say, it really, really did. And I'm so grateful for that, you know?
Awesome. I have been listening since episode 1. I heard Two Men and a Mouse talk about you, and I have been on board since the first one, and I love the show.
Thank you. I can't believe you made it past number 1 and gave me a chance with number 2.
I will say my favorite ones are when it's the family. Just the whole family bouncing off each other on a topic.
Thank you. Sabrina will throw some crazy things in there sometimes. I'm like, what do I say to that? But I enjoy having her. She brings the innocence of a child to it. And I think sometimes that makes a difference in a podcast because we always get the adult's point of view for the most part. So getting a kid's point of view sometimes is just refreshing, makes you look at it differently, reminds you of the time sometimes that you're in the park with your own kids and they say something and you're like, oh, I never really looked at that way before or thought of it that way.
And, you know, that's one of the things I do appreciate because when we do it, I don't have kids, so I talk about it from like an uncle's perspective, or we talk about it from we want to give this to our kids or have our kids experience this, but it's never, all right, kids, what do you want to see? What do you want to do? What's important to you?
Mm-hmm. And the things that are important to her and that she wants to do when we go into those parks is completely, for the most part, different than what I would want to do. Like, she has no fear. She wants to get on every ride. I can't ride most of the rides with her because, unfortunately, I suffer from vertigo. But thankfully, my husband can do most of those rides with her. So I feel like I do miss out on a lot. So when she comes back and she's like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. That was so great. I want to go on it again. I'm like sitting there like, all right, fine. I'll just sit here and melt a little bit longer. You go back on, or, you know, one of the things that she loves the most is the Star Tours. She loves that ride. And I will sit out there and she and my husband will go on it over and over and over again. And believe it or not, it took them about 2 or 3 weeks to let me know that he was a rebel spy. You would think that's one of the things they'd come running out and say, you know, Daddy was rebel spy. Nope.
Oh, I was the rebel spy, and I sat there and I tweeted it right from the seat.
I'm like, this is important Disney news. You have to tell me these things.
Now, you're not just skipping Star Tours because you're a Star Wars fan, are you?
No, I wish I could do it. Yeah, me and Star Wars, we're not simpatico most of the time. You know, there's certain things that really turn me off, like the whole I love you, I know thing. I mean, as a listener, I can ramble about that for hours. And Kevin Kessler has come on the show and tried to shoot me down, but I'm sticking to my guns on that one. I will say I did like the movie Solo. I just recently watched that, and I enjoyed that. I don't know how true to any of Star Wars it really was, because whatever I see on screen is what I go by. Half the time I can't understand what they're talking about. But I did like Solo, and I liked, The Force Awakens. I really liked the character of Rey. And, oh my gosh, what was that guy? His last name is Bodega. I forget his name. Finn, wasn't it Finn?
Yeah.
Yes. I liked him, and I liked the other young man. I can't remember what his name was either. The good-looking guy.
Oscar Isaacs.
Is that it?
Yeah, who plays the pilot?
Yes. So I was I'm interested to see where that trio goes. I don't know if there's going to be a love story between what's her name, Rey and Bodega. I forget Finn. I don't know if there's going to be a love story there or if it's going to go in a different direction, but I'm interested to see that. But the older Star Wars, I'm just not crazy about.
I have got to get you and Stan, or Captain of the Millennium Falcon, together on an episode soon.
Why?
He lives and breathes Star Wars.
Oh.
This would be like a fun bridge over Jedi Waters episode to get you two on together.
Ooh, he would kill me. He would destroy me.
No, he wouldn't. Stan's one of the best guys I know.
I have had some interactions with him on Facebook, I have to say. Super sweet. But listen, I don't come to the Star Wars table, knowing the story. I just watch what I watch, and I'm like one of those dumb viewers that just looks at it. And first of all, I can't understand what they're mumbling. It's so technical. It took me forever to realize what the AT-ATs were. Yeah.
I had one growing up, so I think you're supposed to cram a bunch of snowtroopers inside.
I would go to Hollywood Studios. They have one there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I would look at that thing and I would be like, what is that? And then I would see them in the movies, but everybody's talking so fast or whatever the case might be, and it never stuck. And I think it was Kevin Kessler, actually, that said, yeah, that's an AT-AT or whatever. I think I'm saying it right. Am I saying it right?
Yeah. It's either AT-AT or AT-AT, depending on how you want to say it.
Oh, I've always read it as AT-AT.
Same. It's always been an AT-AT.
And he pointed it out to me, and I'm like, And you've heard him come on my show and fight with me over Star Wars. And I think I try to hold my own. I probably fail miserably. I'm sure the listeners are yelling at me and telling me to stop.
You do fine. I have very strong opinions on Star Wars too. I either love it or I hate it, and there's no in between.
Really?
Yeah, there's ones I love, ones I hate, and there's no middle ground. So I think we're all going to have to do a co-Star Wars episode.
How do you feel about Amidala and that whole she died of a broken heart? What's your stance on that?
I have never liked the prequel movies. I only saw them one time in the theaters, and I've never seen them since.
Now, see, that's the only ones I can actually stomach from the old stuff.
But I don't like the prequel movies, but I love the Clone Wars TV show. I'll watch that, but I won't watch the movies.
Okay. I only got into it because of the romance aspect of it. But at the end, I was like, oh, come on, really? This is what happened? I was like, come on.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to give Stan a call, I'll give you a call, we'll figure something out. Bring Kevin on, we'll do the big Happy Life Day episode.
Okay, just be gentle on me.
Only if you guys are gentle on me.
All right. Well, we'll have to have you guys come on our show too at some point.
We would love it.
Yeah. Cool.
So we are kind of getting back to the dock. We're going to have to bring this cruise into an end.
Okay.
Monica, where can people find you?
All right. So we have our website, of course. It's www.themouseinOurhouse.com. If you want to, I haven't blogged a lot lately because I've just been busy with life. But in the beginning, I was blogging a lot, and it was a lot of information, a lot of my opinions, which, you know, it is what it is. I don't sugarcoat it pretty much. I just say what I feel, how I feel, when I feel. But, you know, I have gotten some good feedback on that as far as the content. So if anybody is looking for some information that's a little bit different, they can definitely check out the website. And we also keep our podcast episodes there. And then, of course, we are on Facebook, and we have a page and a group. So the page is facebook.com/themouseinourhouse. And our group is facebook.com/groups The Mouse in Our House. If you'd like to go over and join or like our page, we'd love the interaction. We're also on Twitter at Mouse in Our House. And of course, anybody that wants to contact me can do so at themouseinOurhouse@yahoo.com.
Awesome. Like I said, passengers, I'm a big fan of Monica's show. I think you should all go subscribe right now and go like her Facebook page and Twitter.
Thank you.
Monica, thanks for coming on. We really enjoyed having you.
Thank you for having me. And have a Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners, a Happy New Year, and just keep doing what you're doing. I love the show. I love your format and how you guys do everything. I'm so happy that you guys are doing so well with your show, and keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone.
All right, Dan. So the last part is the next segment from Stan, who interviewed Ken Jones, Kristen Dibiase, and Ed Buskirk III. They talked about their show and what an amazing segment this is from Stan. So take it away, Stan.
Okay, we're back, and we're joined by the crew of the Disney Movie Review. And first up, going ladies first, I'm going to introduce you to this crew. She is my Ray to my Admiral Akbar, Kristen Dibiase. Welcome aboard, and how are you today?
Hello. I'm very good. How are you?
I am so fine. Next up, we have a good friend of mine. We go long way back. He's a good friend of mine, and he is my Buzz Lightyear to my Woody.
Good to see you, Stan. Pleasure to be here, sir.
Ed Buskirk III, and he's been a guest on our show before, so you're familiar with his voice. Ed, you know what? You're always welcome aboard.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And the third member of the crew, the fourth hasn't arrived yet. He might show up. That's just the way he is. That's how this show goes. Halfway through the show, all of a sudden, the third guy comes in. We have Gay. Let's get what I got here. He is my Captain Jack Sparrow to my Captain Hook, Ken Cameron. Ken, welcome aboard. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having us on. It's really great.
Now, I'm starting it this way because this is how the Disney Movie Database starts their show. And you know what? You make it sound so good, Ken. And you make it sound so easy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy when you have great co-hosts. I think that's part of it. And then, you know, we always usually have a theme we're talking about. Like, you know, this week we talked about just the movies from 2018. And so it's just easy to assign people to different movies.
Okay. Now, do you plan those intros ahead, or do you just come off the top of your head with them?
For me, they're off the top of my head most of the time. I don't know. Kristen, Ed, do you guys think, are these planned? I don't think they're planned, are they?
Ken is really good at ad-libbing the beginning and ending of his show in a way that I absolutely was never able to do on my own and will never be able to do in the future.
I could see that. And I'm thinking he's, from this, as a listener listening to it, I'm thinking he's ad-libbing them. because sometimes you think about it. You
Yeah.
the first part and you think about it. But I tried to incorporate all the Disney franchises. And if Cameron was here, well, maybe he'll show up and I'll do his when he shows up. Because I wanted to get something from Star Wars, something from Marvel, something from Pixar, and something from Disney. And I wanted to get live action Disney and animation Disney. So I think I incorporated everything in there. Okay.
That was a good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy task. So what about the history of the podcast? Where did this podcast originally come from? Who came up with the idea? Who was the original host, co-host? I know Ed came later. How did this start?
So I would talk with Cameron pretty much every Saturday about Disney movies. We'd get on the phone, we'd look at the Disney news, and we'd talk about it pretty much every Saturday. And so we were like, well, we're just a bunch of nerds, two nerds, but maybe somebody else might be interested in hearing it too. And so we just started the podcast. And after, by all means doing a podcast, once you get to a certain point, you're like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I was like, okay, well, if you're not going to do this anymore, you got to recommend someone else to people. And there was this wonderful show called Mouseflix that I absolutely loved listening to. And I was like, okay, here's the deal. She's going to go for a certain number of episodes. I'm going to stop my show and just say, hey, listen to Mouseflix because it's great. And then she disappeared. So I had to go find Kristen and say, hey, Kristen, what's going on? Even before then, though, I had put out a call on the show once The Force Awakens was coming out to talk to anybody that had lived through Star Wars, that had been in the movie theater through Star Wars. And Ed, came through and was like, oh yeah, I was in the theater for Empire Strikes Back and all this stuff. So I talked to him about his story, and it just kind of meshed from there. I just asked him, hey, you guys want to come on? And I started with movies. I was just like, you guys want to come on after you see this movie, after you see this movie? And then it just was like, hey, let's just come on the show. And especially after I saw what Ed did with the Disney Movie Database, I was like, absolutely, yes, you're nerd enough for us.
Yeah, that Disney Movie Database, that's my go-to when I want to find, especially movie posters and stuff like that. That's where I go first. I don't even bother checking anywhere else.
Well, I'm about halfway through it right now. I've been working on it for how long now? 2 years, and I've still got about 300 movies to add. So
I remember when Ed was first telling me about this, and I'm like, oh, this guy's nuts. Turned out I was right.
Yes.
So, if our passengers were to choose to decide to, tune into your station, that's kind of what this whole Christmas special is about, is to, introduce our passengers to other podcasts that we enjoy. Kristen, what can they expect from your show?
I think we don't just talk about the movies. We talk a lot about the movies, but depending on what's going on in kind of the world of Disney and all of its orbits, we get into some interesting conversations on kind of current events and things that are happening within the Disney sphere. It really kind of goes a lot of different places. And then we usually have kind of a main topic that Ken has that we'll talk about, or one or two of those. And then we also have a section of the show called Fast Flicks. And those are just kind of shorter little news bites that are really quick to discuss, that we kind of toss in there so everybody knows kind of the quickest kind of little things that are going on Disney related as well. I think there's always going to be something crazy that comes out of somebody's mouth at least once a week, probably mostly me.
Yes, I'd agree.
And I like how you guys call them quick flicks, and there'll be 3 topics that you're going to talk about, and 2 of them will be quick.
Right.
Is it very quick? But it doesn't need to be. I mean, it's your show, right? You get to do it the way you want to do it, and that's the thing I love about the show is that you never know where it's going to go. And I was telling Ken before we went on the air that I often will walk to and from work, and it's cold here in Canada, and I have my hood up and my earbuds in, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm walking and I'm laughing. And I know people are looking at me thinking, what is this guy walking down the street by himself, laughing to himself? It's a fun show. It's a fun show. You really should check it out. If there's a episode that somebody, this is their first time tuning into the database, I don't expect you to remember the number. I don't remember any of my numbers. But is there a certain episode that somebody should tune into that would be their first episode that they want to listen to? What would they go to?
My most recent, funnest episode, it was episode 200, because we were just able to kind of look back on the episode. That'll give you the history of it, but also we don't just stay there. Like we basically do a normal episode. And so if you want to get the history, want to know, what it's like on the show, just in general, I like that one. Ed, Kristen, I don't know what you guys think about it.
I'm trying to remember. I think one of my favorite ones, it was one of the early ones that we all did together. I feel like it was like the Star Wars episode. That one, and the Jungle Book. Those were kind of the very beginnings of when Ed and I joined you guys. I really liked those because we all really liked those movies, and I think the conversation was really lively about those. Now, remember, this was not episode 8. This was episode 7.
True.
How about you, Ed?
Oh.
Ed, yeah, how about you? Was there a certain episode you remember that you'd like our passengers to check out first?
Par for the course for our show, though. Sometimes somebody will be muted and forget to keep going. So.
Right.
Ed, sorry.
And he's not muted. He's just, his mic doesn't work.
Oh, another part for the course thing. While we're getting Ed, though, I did want to say, Kristen did a great job of talking about the show and doing everything, but I think the show is so great because we have co-hosts, because it's not just me yelling into a mic, and it's not just me deciding what stories we're going to talk about. I mean, I feel like every week, Kristen, Ed, Cameron, they all bring individual stories that they're passionate about to the table. And, I, as the host, just kind of introduce them and then let them run. I mean, they're all co-hosts. So, they all have wonderful insight. And, everybody has a little bit of a different perspective on things. So sometimes we all agree, but a lot of times we don't agree. Yeah. And it's good to kind of have that. So, I just can't say enough about the team as a whole. I may have started it and done some stuff, but it's really kind of taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, and as a listener for myself, I would say that anytime a new movie comes out, that's the episode you want to listen to, because you guys do the greatest reviews of the movies that shortly after they come out. You're in there in the theater, and we often say on our show that it's part of our contract to go see these Disney movies. I actually stole that from you guys. Our passengers that
it's so required.
Yeah, that's what Kristen's doing. Kristen, you want to tell that story?
Oh yeah. So okay, I came into this in a more casual fashion, if you will, and what was that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah,
whatever year, whatever year the BFG came out, there were 2 or 3 movies that BFG and Pete's Dragon and maybe something else too. And I was just like, I am so completely uninterested in seeing any of these movies. I refuse. I'm not going to go see these. I think they look like crap. I don't want to see them. And so I just sat out on the shows those particular weeks. And so then Ken instituted a rule that we were required to attend the Disney stable of films. And so I will say, since that rule was put in place, I will say that Christopher Robin was quite a heartwarming surprise for me, because I was not super interested in seeing that movie at all, and then I ended up really liking it. So the requirement works.
Give movies a chance. If you don't want to give it a chance, wait until you see it. Because, like, maybe, there's a possibility that Nutcracker in the Four Realms could have been a very good movie, but we went and saw it for you and told you it was not.
Very slim possibility.
There's always oh, look, Ed's back. Yes.
Ed's back. So, Kristen, did you go see Nutcracker in the Four Realms?
Oh, yeah, I saw it. And my poor husband saw it, too.
You know there isn't a real contract with podcasting, right?
Right.
No.
It's like, it's honor. Fealty and honor.
She used her AMC Stubbs A-list membership and got the free ticket, and still felt like she got ripped off.
We do movie reviews as well on the Grand Circle Tour, and about a week before Nutcracker was released, I put a poll out to our group saying, "Are we going to go see this movie?" And it was 100% no. So far, that's the only Disney movie we haven't done review on since they.
Well, you're not alone, Stan, because the last time that I checked the box office, the Nutcracker in the Four Realms had made about $18, and that was just because Ken, Kristen, and I had seen it. So
pretty much, yeah. Morgan Freeman's voice can't save everything.
So, what do you guys have planned for 2019? What's coming up with you? It's around the corner.
Well, I can tell you right now, we're going to do Zoom and have some video along with the audio to record, which will be pretty awesome. Other than that, I don't know. What do you guys think? Kristen, Ed, what do you guys got?
Well, I've been pushing for T-shirts and lunch boxes and action figures. Ken hasn't come through with that yet, so I'm just waiting for my Disney movie review action figure. That's what I'm in this for.
News on that: we are having a designer come in and do it, and actually he is the grandson of a Disney animator, so it's a pretty nice full circle thing that we got going on there.
Oh, that's pretty cool for sure. Absolutely. See, Ed's been following the Grand Circle Tour because I got my action figure. Right? We got our T-shirts. I'm all about the marketing.
That's good. That's good. Someone has to be, and Ed is our person that is.
Well, the red light is flashing on my dash, and we're coming into the port. So we're going to go once around the board here. We'll start ladies first again to see if you have anything final you want to say to our passengers, or maybe someone that might be hopping between podcasts. Kristen, go ahead. Oh, she's muted.
She's having the same issue that I was.
Okay. Well, what's nice is what the heck? She was muted. Technology at its finest. There we go. Kristen, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Am I unmuted now?
You're unmuted, but you can barely hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. How's that?
Nope.
Hello.
There we go. That's better.
Much better.
Joyce, Jason, you get to edit this.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with Kristen.
Okay, we're going to go once around the table. We'll get a little Merry Christmas from everybody and a final word. Let's start off with Ken. Ken, what do you have?
Yeah, I just want to say Merry Christmas to all the passengers and appreciate you guys taking time to even listen to us. If you come over to the DisneyMovieReview.com, you can see all of our different episodes. We're on Twitter at DSNY Movie Review. You can email us at thedisneymoviereview@gmail.com. And, I always end the podcast with it, but I really do sincerely mean it. I hope you have a magical day.
And what is this podcast brought from? Or brought who what is it you say? Today's podcast is brought by
the Disney Movie Review is constantly brought to you by my wife, whose constant love and support keeps me going every single day.
That's the one I wanted. That's the one. I love that. I love that. So great. I'm not going to steal that one, but I do love it. Ed?
I can't even follow that up, but I would like to say hello to all my fellow Grand Circle Tour podcast fans out there. I'm listening in each week as well. So, and of course, I loved last week's episode with Kimberly Bouchard. So, and her Positively Disney book. So,
thank you, Ed. We appreciate your support. Kristen, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks so much for having us on the show, Stan. It's awesome to be here, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of those amazing winter festivities that people enjoy.
And Life Day and Festivus.
Right, for the rest of us, air
Yes.
grievances.
Oh God!
Yeah,
Definitely tune into us.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. You know what? It's one of the I only listen to a handful of podcasts, and I mentioned this earlier in the show. And there's some podcasts that if I miss them, I miss them. But there's others that I have to listen to every week. And the Disney Movie Review is one of these ones that every single week I'm listening to. So
That's so
I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for joining us, and happy holidays to the three of you. And Cameron, wherever you are my Thor to my, what the heck did I put? That makes it sound so easy. I wrote it down. You are my Thor to my Star-Lord, Cameron. I love you.
That's the nicest thing anybody's ever compared
I know,
to.
right? That's so much better than what I say to Cameron.
Yeah, it is actually. It is nice in what you say to Cameron.
Yeah. But Stan, hey man, hopefully we can get you on our show too sometimes. Because we'll give you the full hour, man. We're gonna give you Disney news, and we're gonna go all through it. So you'll be our Canada correspondent to tell us how movies sound different up there.
I'll tell you how many loonies I rate that movie.
Good deal.
Alrighty, let's head it back to the home studio. Mindy and Dan, it's back to you.
All right. Thanks, Stan. What a great interview there. That is going to about wrap up our show. We hope you enjoyed our holiday gifts to you. We go through all our favorite podcasters and vloggers out there. Mindy, I wish you the merriest of Christmas and a joyful holiday season. And I think 2019 is going to be the year of the Grand Circle Tour podcast.
I totally agree. I think we've had a blast this past year getting to know each other and just laughing behind the scenes, laughing on the podcast with our passengers, and it's been a ride, but I can't wait to see where this goes.
It has been an awesome couple months. I mean, just to think about last year this time, we didn't know each other. We didn't have all our passengers in our lives. And over the course of the last couple months, I've met so many awesome people like yourself, Mindy, and the rest of our co-hosts, but also, more importantly, our passengers who are just amazing. And we love your comments on our Facebook page, and we love the input that you guys give to us. So from the bottom of my heart, from my family to your family, I wish you the happiest of holidays and as much joy and health as possible.
And Merry Christmas to all our passengers from the Muir family over here. We are so excited to be able to take this ride with you and have the merriest Christmas.
Mindy, I'll catch you in 2019.
No joke. Okay, bye. See you next year.
Good night, passengers. See you real soon.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Yeah, okay. From all of us here at the Grand Circle Tour podcast, here's wishing you the best for a safe and happy holiday season.
Christmas time this year. Hearts are gay and merry and full of Yuletide cheer. The spirit of the season will make our dreams come true. Memories of Christmas are here for me and you. The caroling bells ringing and Santa Claus will always be part of Christmas fantasy. On this special holiday, old Saint Nick will load his sleigh. Santa always finds his way in a Christmas fantasy. Children sing a bright encore, counting presents and keeping score. No one sleeps the night before, a Christmas fantasy.